What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett.
I'm Lance.
You're a liar because you're Lex Luthor. you're doing it for the. You shaved your head all because we're gonna do a Superman Lois video. You know it. Think about it. It was
That's
subconsciously.
what it is.
But as always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. This is how much of a fans we are. We even shave our heads for it. Oh yeah, I should have pointed that way. There you go. That way. Get you.
You'll find me eventually. Just be like,
All right, so episode 2, Superman and Lois. What did you think?
oh, I loved it.
Oh,
I
I did
did.
too.
And I just really love the way this show's going so far because I normally on shows, they jump over to the teenage stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let's get back to the main focus here. But with this, I'm actually kind of opposite at times. Like they'll flip over to Lois Lane talking about Edge, and I'm like, okay, what's going to go on with Jonathan and them? Because there's some stuff I want to know about right now. And so I actually enjoy that aspect of it that I normally wouldn't in a show.
Yeah, here on Rants we do videos about, Walker and things like that. And I compare the two shows simply because they're on the same network. But
Yeah.
it's like night and day how they go about it with the children and how they tie in the family life. On Walker, it seems so forced, but on Superman Lois, it feels like you're just walking into their household and you're seeing them for who they are. Like it's so different. It's actually really beautiful. I really enjoy the relationship between the two brothers a lot.
Yeah, and previously on the pilot episode, me and you talked, we weren't super big on Lois, and I actually enjoyed her a lot more this episode than I did the pilot episode. I will say that.
Dude, when you said previously, I was thinking previously on WandaVision. Like, I
No,
watched so
I'm
much
not
of
even
that these
talking.
last few
Don't
weeks.
talk to me about WandaVision.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
still
I'm kind of
pissed
that way.
about WandaVision, okay?
I was like waiting for you to get to like the credits to stop rolling. Wanted
you
to
know,
like hit some kind of
but
button to bring it all back to her or something.
she's taking over Rants R Us
Yeah.
now. No, but
You're the new
uh,
Quicksilver.
yeah, I'm still pissed about that.
Yeah, I
But
am too.
I do. I think that Superman and Lois has a lot of potential to become my favorite show on TV right now.
Oh yeah, I think it does too. I think Superman. Look, the one thing I love about I like the Luthor. I even like
I do
him
like
who
them.
plays in it. Like I feel like every single one of even the side characters, like Lois Lane's dad, or
Yeah, okay. Lois Lane's dad
or Lana Lane. They're all
and
good in it.
and Superman actually showed in this episode there was a little bit more turmoil between the two, like it was supposed to be based on comic lore in this episode than the first one. The first one they kind of acted like buddies. In this one you could see the kind of oh, you've been stockpiling kryptonite? Why didn't you tell me? They had their issues. Oh, you're tearing your family apart type. They had their issues this episode, which that's what that relationship's always supposed to have been like. And in the pilot episode, I thought they were kind of getting too far away from that, making them like buddies. Like, hey, tell Lois I'm gonna pick the boys up to go on a fishing trip. And Clark's just like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
We'll schedule something. I'm like, y'all didn't get along like this in any of the other, versions of this. Why are you trying to take this path this way? But in this episode, you kind of seen a back and forth type, like,
he
well,
acting like a
you doing this
father-in-law.
wrong, and you're like, well, why are you stockpiling kryptonite? You say it's to protect me, but is it really just to control me? Like, if I don't want to do something, you're just going to kryptonite my ass.
I think it's kind of funny that Luthor though chose him. Chose to talk to him.
But,
And it's funny
but
because he's
in the
stockpiling stuff too. So
yeah,
it's
but
like,
in the with Luther going and seeking out what's his name,
yeah,
Sam Lane.
yeah,
going and seeking out him kind of made sense once they showed that flashback to Earth 2, I guess is what it's called. And he was basically General Lane's soldier, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he seeked out him in this world. He's going to try to very much convince him, hey, in this other world, me and you were good, and Superman betrayed you, and that's why I want to do this. And so I think he's going to try to, you know, bring General Lane in as his ally to go against Clark. And so I get why he seeked him out after seeing that flashback there. But at first I was kind of like, what's his deal with Lane?
Yeah, I kind of felt that way too. I was like, he didn't go about it in that way when he was in Moldova and all these different places like that. So, but then at the same time, I was like, is he a bad guy? He did threaten to blow up the city, but he or with that, his plane and take down all those people. But he kind of knew that Superman wouldn't. But if
it's kind of like also
do it,
when he goes to contact General Lane, it wasn't him. He sent a robot.
Yeah.
That was a pretty smart move. I feel like it's
But don't you kind of feel like even that scene with Captain Luthor and Superman when they're fighting, and that the bomb on his ship, I kind of feel like if he knew that Superman was going to go and save them, then why didn't he realize that this Superman is different from the one that was on his planet or his?
He realizes he does realize. To me, he does realize that he's different, but he thinks he's going to change into the Superman from his world.
But have you noticed?
So I'm thinking that the Kal-El from his planet, his world, was a good guy that went bad. Or so he thinks that this one's going to do the same thing because they had the same DNA, they had the same thought process. So he thinks at some point this guy's going to turn bad too, and I need to stop him before he does, and he destroys this world as well. So I get that mindset, but that's kind of like the reverse effect from Smallville, where Lex Luthor's like, I'm not a bad guy, Clark. And he's like, you will be.
Yeah, I know.
So.
It kind of is. But I mean, have you noticed that though in I would say the last 10, 15 years? First time I ever remember seeing it was on Justice League, and I think we were kids at the time when that first come out, the cartoon series, where the government was, or there was this a reality where Superman could turn bad. And it seemed like I don't remember it before then, but it's like I've seen it in, the Justice League when we were a kid. I've seen it in a lot of the DC movie, animated movies. We even saw it in Justice League, where in Injustice, in Injustice 2, of course, we see the video games, we see him go bad. So it's kind of like all of these things.
Well, even in
Superman,
even in Teen Titans, they had a clone of Superman they wanted to be bad, and they had to rescue that clone to keep him from going bad. So they do this whole version of Superman turning into this bad guy multiple times.
Yeah.
But
I don't think it's a bad storyline, but
I do
it's strange in this era. We automatically look at Superman as being kind of that way, on the verge of maybe doing it.
I really enjoy the storyline of Captain Luthor on this because it's something we haven't seen, this version of it, And so it's not like we can just be like, oh, this happened in the comic book. I know what's going to happen here. Yeah. It's kind of more like we don't know where they're going to go. They're changing the storyline enough that it can keep us guessing. And like we said before they screwed up WandaVision, that was something that really kept me going with that show, was there was always something to try to figure out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I feel like they could do that with this show and make it really great.
I feel like they could too. I feel like that's the one good thing about, well, not one good thing. There's a lot of good things about this show, but I feel like that's one thing we can see we can see a different Luthor, Lex Luthor that we haven't seen before. We're used to the one that's just on the regular, Earth with him and has
Yeah.
ulterior motives. But this one actually seems like he's more sincere about,
Yeah, I
saving
mean,
the world.
he,
But if you
yeah,
really think about it in a lot of different ways and a lot of different versions of Lex Luthor, he might be a bad guy to a certain extent, but he always is hesitant about Superman he believes that Superman is kind of going to turn bad eventually. Like it's one of those moments
I
where
think,
he
I
thinks
think
that
Lex
he's the hero of
Luthor,
the story.
see, Lex Luthor always came across to me as, yes, he's a villain. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not. He's clearly the best villain in Superman lore ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in his mind, he's the lesser evil.
Yeah.
We know what he's capable of. Where with Superman, we don't know what he's fully capable of. How are we going to stop it if he does decide to attack? Is the thing with Superman. And so I don't think in his heart and in his head, Lex Luthor's really a bad guy. Yeah, he's a villain, but that doesn't make him a bad guy. Like, you know what I
I
mean?
don't think he looks at himself like I think he looks at himself as a man that's willing to do the
Unthinkable to protect
necessary
the
evil
world. Yes, yes,
to
that's what I'm
do
saying.
what is
I
right.
think, yeah, yeah, he thinks of himself as a lesser evil in that way
Yeah.
because
And I feel like
he's got a purpose for doing it where he thinks Superman's just, you don't know what to do because what if he does just snap one day? How are we going to stop him?
that's why I'm saying I think that this different view of Superman that's been going on for like the last 10 or 15 years is kind of different because it touches on that very thing.
Yeah.
Where in previous incarnations of Lex Luthor, I don't know, he kind of looked like he was a little too paranoid. But they touched on that
yeah.
where that he's not as paranoid as what maybe people.
Yeah, it doesn't make him seem as paranoid. And with this version on Superman Lois, that's not the whole aspect. It's he came to my world and destroyed it. What's going to stop this version from doing it here? Mm-hmm. The only thing that can stop him is me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go stop him to save World 1.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't in my world.
Yeah.
And so I get his motivation there. But like I said, earlier, it's kind of one of those things where you can't just damn him because of something a different version of him did.
But
when he's like, you destroyed my world, and Superman's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I kind of feel like if I was Superman, I'd been like, before I just went to go hitting, I'd be like,
what do you mean?
Yeah, like, what do you, like, elaborate? Kind of like what...
I don't remember this, so could you tell me what happened here,
Yeah, I keep going back to WandaVision, kind of like what Vision did in WandaVision with the white Vision. He's like, and the guy's like, elaborate, I'm kind of
exactly. He's like, look,
like that with that.
You're being controlled, and he's like, I need you to elaborate. Yeah. I do understand what you're saying there, and so I think that would have been better if he was like, wait a minute, I haven't destroyed any worlds. I'm pretty sure I remember that. What are you talking about, But yeah, I'm really like interested in the teenage boys story because I just like those characters. I like the actors.
I liked how Jordan's actions have really changed John. And it's not that John is just being a douche to be a douche. Like, Jordan literally, like, has taken everything from him. If you really truly think about it.
It's more like, it's kind of like what she talks to him about or tries to talk to him about. He sacrificed a lot for his brother.
Yeah.
So he's not just being a douche to be a douche, but I do feel like his outburst was kind of out of nowhere. Like, he was like, oh, everything's good. He's like, tell me what happened about the playbook. He's like, earlier I didn't have it, now I do. It's all good. It's all good until the next scene where he's like, oh, did you have a bad day, you big baby?
No.
Well, You cost me everything. And now the football team wants to kick my ass because you kissed his girlfriend.
I know.
And I'm like, well,
Where was
I
that? Why wasn't
understand,
that in
I
preseason
understand what
though?
you're saying, but it was like 10 minutes ago, it wasn't an issue. Now it kind of is. Like,
Yeah, I kind of feel like if they'd have done some more scenes in between, but it was literally like one or two more scenes after
yeah.
that. It's like
So,
everything
but then
jumped
it
back
was
in.
like he has that outburst.
Hmm.
His parents make him go to the barbecue, and he tells his brother, he's like, "So what happened?" And he's like, "Well, I just found out that I don't have powers." Blah blah blah. And he's like, "Well, I don't care what a hologram says.
I know.
I know what happened in the barn, and if nobody else will help you figure this out, I will." So you went from "I'm good, everything's great" to "screw you, you cost me everything" to "I will help you to the very end."
I mean, I think it's a clear consensus that both these boys are probably going to show powers eventually. I mean, is that what
Well,
you
I
think?
think that I personally believe, yes, I do believe that, but I also believe that one's going to be a hero and one's going to be
Gonna
the
be a
villain.
villain. I feel that way, and I'll admit I thought right off the bat it was gonna be Jordan that was gonna be the villain. I think it's gonna be
I
the other
think
way
it's the other
around.
way around,
Yeah, I
actually.
think it's the other way around now too. I think John. I think over time, this is all going to
There's going to be a lot of
start wearing
resentment
on him.
there.
Because if
There's
you
going to
think
be a lot
about it,
of
the
resentment
roles are
there.
reversed. He used to be the popular guy that was the quarterback and had the beautiful girlfriend and all that other kind of stuff. Now he's the one that's getting picked on, and his life is being ruined, and he's going through depression and
Yeah, and
problems.
I think that there's going to be some resentment with Jonathan that Jordan wouldn't have. Like, we gave up all this for you, dude.
Yeah,
And now you're the one that getting all the attention because you might have superpowers. And now dad's acting like I don't,
yeah.
he's not. I mean, he showed up for his practice and stuff like that. But, he's going to start to feel like that over time. Is Superman going to be at the games, or is is Jordan going to have something going on with his powers that you got to handle, and that's going to start to cause problems? I do see that, and I kind of want them to go that way,
I do too.
but at the same time, I kind of don't, because I do like that brotherhood thing where
I
he's
kind
like,
of do too.
so
You know
I'm
what?
kind of like back and forth with that. Now, one thing I will say that I did enjoy that I didn't expect is, like, that's one thing that I feel like has made the show great so far is the little side quests that people normally don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
I find interesting, even like the Lois Lane and Morgan Edge thing. That I'm like, well, what's going to happen here?
You know what? Lois
She
Lane
quit.
last
She quit the
episode, I was
Daily Planet
yeah.
and went to the Smallville Gazette. I'm interested to see what's supposed to go down between that. And normally when they get on them side quests, or what I call side quests, I'm like, I don't care. Let's go. The next scene, like, let's get back to what I care about. And with this, I'm still interested in the little side stuff. And that, to me, that speaks for the strength of this show showing already.
Oh, I think it
And
does. I think it
I'm
does.
very impressed with this show coming from CW because, I heard it was coming out and I heard it was CW. I was kind of like, I don't expect much.
Yeah, I didn't expect.
But I've been
anything.
pleasantly surprised since. So,
Well, it's like you know what? I know we make a comparison and it's completely and totally probably unfair to both shows, but take Walker. It's on the exact same channel, and it seems like it suffers from the worst case of all these problems of the everything feeling forced, the children being annoying,
okay.
scenes not fitting together, and it's like it's the
My
polar
thing with
opposite
Walker, my
on
thing with
Superman Lois.
Walker is, I think I went into Walker because of Jared Padalecki with higher expectations. So it's kind of not meeting those expectations. And so it's kind of like, oh, this show's kind of sucks. Let's be honest. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's
And
not that great.
but I think that's because my expectations for it was so high. Where with Superman and Lois, I didn't have very high expectations
I
for it
didn't
just because it's CW and it's about Superman. And, I felt like they were going to screw it up. But the way they've done it has made that show so great. I am so glad that it's this version of Superman and not like in my 20s Superman, where I'm going to the Daily Planet and going off and saving the world. But The Adventures of Lois and Clark, I'm glad it's not a reboot of that. You know what I mean?
I actually thought it was going to be that.
I did too, and so I just didn't have much expectations for it. So it's blown me away because of that reason, I believe.
Well, see, this is kind of like, and you know,
I'm not saying it's not a good show, but I feel like because my expectations were so low, it's easy to meet those expectations. It's easy to excel past those expectations because my expectations were so low.
But well, see, this is the way I look at it. Yes, I did have low expectations going into this show. I really did. But I felt like after like the first 10 minutes, I started having high expectations. Coming into the second episode of it,
episode 2, I had my expectation bar rose from the pilot to episode 2, but they still met my expectations.
Yeah, it met it, and still
I felt like the pilot was good, but this last episode, episode 2, was even better.
Yeah, I felt like it was too. I felt like, but
for me, this is the first show on the CW in years for me to be like, can't wait for next week.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like this is the first show since the early stages of Supernatural that I'm like, I can't wait for it to come out. Like, you know, I really feel that way. I mean, that was the first.
This is the first show for me since like Supernatural as well that I've been like.
Was another one, you know. I used to love.
Yeah, Smallville, but I'll be honest, I didn't get into Smallville until years later, so I didn't watch it week by week. You know, when I got into Smallville, it was by the seasons at a time, and I would binge watch the crap out of the season. But I didn't get into it when it was like first coming on the network. You did.
Yeah.
I remember in high school you tried to get me into it. I'm not watching that crap. You know, but
it still has a special place in my heart, even though I felt like kind of the later seasons weren't as good.
I think
it still had a place in my heart that is still there. It's almost kind of like Supernatural. Supernatural has that place in my heart.
I do feel like season 8, 9, and 10 of Smallville got to where it was like, okay, y'all need to be winding down on this, you know. But
I'll tell you this, you know, my least favorite part of Superman Lois was Lois Lane, but I really thought she was great in this episode. I didn't like her the first episode. And
I really enjoyed her this episode.
But I loved her the second episode. I really like where they're going with her. She's the perfect mixture of Lois Lane. Like, I thought last one she was a little bit too submissive, and it didn't remind me of the Lois Lane I grew up with. But this one you see it.
And you know what was good about that is Superman kind of covers for that in a way, because he's like, you know, you talking about this story, I haven't seen that fire in you in a long time. So, like, it's like this stuff with Morgan Edge is bringing out the old Lois Lane to an extent. She's like, oh, you want a challenge? I got you. And that's the Lois Lane we know. It's like, if somebody wanted a fight with Lois Lane was going to give you a fight. And this is the Lois Lane we got to see in this episode. And that's why I said I really enjoyed her this episode. I can't really pick out too many bad things about this episode.
I really didn't find, I mean, there was some things that kind of annoy me to a certain extent, but it's not.
With me, it's always
things. It's not anything big.
It's always little things with me, if there's anything, you know.
I kind of don't like. What is that guy's name? Kyle. I kind of don't like how they're kind of doing this thing about, well, she has city morals and he has country morals, and you don't understand.
See, I don't see it that way, really.
I mean, those are minor
things. I can see what you're saying.
Annoy me, but
I can see what you're saying on that situation. But there's times where Kyle, yeah, he's kind of a douche about it. but he'll say something that makes sense to me. He's
No,
like,
I
well,
actually think Kyle makes sense in almost every way. Like he does. What he's saying
yeah,
is
but I
honest
get that.
truth.
I get what they're doing too. I think that he's going to fall for Morgan Edge's BS,
Yeah.
and then he's going to realize, okay, Lois was right. I kind of owe her an apology type thing.
I can't.
But
I
I
don't
do
think
get what
it.
he's saying.
I think
No,
that
I don't
this.
think it'll actually. I think it'll be multiple seasons if that happens, but it's.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen.
I think
But
it could get. I think that there's going to be just by what Lana said. It was something she said. I can only remember it word for word, but it was almost kind of like "I'm glad you're back" or something like that. It almost
oh,
makes me
now
think that
that
she's
creeped
going to
me
be
out a
like the
little bit.
Clark
She
Kent.
was like, when he was like, I'm not sure me and my family are going to fit in here. And she's like, well, you can't leave. I just got you back. And then there was that little
Yeah,
awkward, like, look she had. And I'm like,
yeah.
oh no. Oh
I
no.
kind of felt that way.
But overall, I really enjoyed it. What would you rate this?
Oh, I would rate. You know what? I'd rate this another 9 out of 10. I mean, I really would. I hate keep doing this,
I was
but
gonna
I
say a
actually really
nine
enjoyed
nine.
it.
I was honestly, I was, see, I really enjoyed it. I guess not much more than you, but a little bit more because I was gonna say nine, 9.5 for me.
See, the only thing that I would kind of maybe say, maybe I could go down to 8.5 simply because of that John outburst that was a little bit odd in situations.
Plays.
And look, we got to talk about, real quick, we got to talk about Superman's dad. Oh my goodness, the worst person they could have got for that role, I think. Doesn't look
Yeah,
anything like
well,
what I
for
expected
sure,
it to be.
for sure not. I mean,
I think I
was he
was
already
expect
retired when he became a hologram or what? Like,
yeah, I was expecting Russell Crowe, like not this guy that's got a pot belly on him, and he's just like, he looks
yeah,
like he
I
hadn't
mean,
shaved in like 3 or 4 days. He looks like he's had a rough time as a hologram. Like, let's just put it
definitely a
that way.
different version is what I had in mind when he took him to the Fortress of Solitude. I fucking got tongue tied there for a minute. The Fortress of Solitude, and they showed that guy. I was like,
You gotta be kidding me. No. I
so
mean, that's why I say I
I feel
hover
you on
between
that
an
one.
8.5 and a 9, just simply
I do
because
feel you on
of
that
those
one. I'm
little
gonna go
things like that.
ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and stick with my original opinion. I'm gonna say a 9, almost a 9.5.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy, I find myself with this show enjoying the moments with the family more than the action. And
I like seeing Superman and Lois as parents more than she's a badass reporter and he's Superman. Like
almost,
them as them as parents. There's something magical about that storyline. To me.
there's a part of me that, I don't know, and this is just the adult part of me that's thinking, okay, 2 episodes, one, he got fired, second episode, she quits. What it like it seems
But
like they're
yeah, but
going at,
she.
like,
But
you
the
just
thing
got
is,
on a
she
farm here,
knew.
like, you don't have any income coming
But
in, like,
she
I'm like,
knew she knew hands down she could get that job at that little newspaper in Smallville. She
yeah.
knew.
But see, I was expecting a little bit something more from that newspaper, and then with that woman's
I
like,
loved.
I'm the plumber, I'm the
Yeah, I
you know,
loved how she was like. She gave him her basically her resignation. He's like, "What's this?" And she's like, "It's the best thing I've wrote since you bought the Daily Planet." And he opens it. It's just, I quit.
see, I almost kind of my only problem too with any of that Lois and that guy, I forget his name now. He
Morgan
is,
Edge.
yeah, Morgan Edge. The only problem, I wish she would have found this stuff while the show was going on instead of already having a formed opinion of him, where that we could
Yeah,
see it a little bit more because
kind of like what they did with. I'm just saying, kind of like what they did in Smallville with Lionel Luther.
yes,
You
yeah.
slowly found out how twisted that SOB was. It
Yes,
wasn't
I know.
like,
Sometimes you feel bad for him because feel like people are, mistreating him because of his name or whatever, or misjudging him, and then all of a sudden you find out he's
Yeah,
evil.
Luther
Something
for
along those
sure.
lines.
I mean, Lex Luthor for sure. I felt like was being judged because of who his father was on that show, and not really who he was. But I'm talking about Lionel. Like there was times with Lionel where I was like, man, I kind of feel bad for him because he's got like some kind of weird cancer or something.
Yeah.
But then he would do something kind of twisted that made you be like, well, screw that guy.
Yeah, I know, but see,
You
you
know,
grew
but
into like
you
you didn't come
slowly
around
found
to a
out
formed opinion.
you slowly found out things about him. With Morgan Edge, it's like, well, I hate that guy.
Yeah,
She's
because
already
he's
told me
bad.
enough. I hate that guy. And
See,
so yeah, it was yeah, you already get that,
well,
So I get what you're saying. That is something that I wish they had done a little better.
well,
But
it's almost like what we
I
were
think this
talking.
is a great show. I think it's
Yeah.
good. It's got
Well, I mean, it's almost kind of
I
like
feel like this show has a chance with
yeah.
some really longevity.
I do too. I do too. But even touching on that subject real quick, I know we had talked off screen last night about how in certain romance films the girl cheats on the guy, and people are like all cheering for her new love and her, and then in other episodes it's like the lover
But
cheats
if
on
it's a
her and
guy, they're
everybody's
like,
like pissy about it. So it's like it's that different perspectives cause different things. So when we go into that and we look at that Morgan Edge, we're like, we gotta hate that guy. Why do we gotta hate that guy? What has he
automatically, yeah.
shown that we hate that
Because that's
guy?
how they set it up
Yeah,
already.
that's how they set it
Because
up,
that's
and
how
I
they
don't
set
like.
it up
I don't.
already. You already have a pre-hate.
Yeah, and I
You already
just
have a pre-hate for him, and so
yeah,
I
and
wish they had done that a little bit differently.
I
But
just don't like that aspect of it. But besides that, I don't really have, like I said, I'm like you on that. I don't really have a lot of bad things to say. I enjoyed the Jordan and John thing. I did have a problem with the John, outburst. I like getting to see the Fortress of Solitude. I thought it looked really cool. I was disappointed by Superman's dad. I thought the Lois was a lot better in this episode than what she was last episode. Overall, I mean, I think it's. I mean,
absolutely,
if there's a show that's on the right path and that I have each episode I'm building up my expectations for, it's this. And I feel like it's not going to disappoint me. I feel like, hey, this is on solid ground. And I feel like this is
I
a
don't think
show
so
I can
either.
trust.
See, my theory on it is every episode's going to get better because so far that's how it's been. The pilot was great. Episode 2 was even better.
Yeah.
I have very high expectations for episode 3, and I hope once again they meet them. But I guess we'll have to see next week.
You know what? Even if let's just say, I don't know how many episodes it is. Probably like 20 episode thing or something like that. But I will just say this. If 17 out of 20 of those episodes are good, then I'm good with it. It's just because it's already built me up and made me think, okay, I trust this show. It's these shows that they have a good episode, a bad episode, a good episode, a bad episode that I don't trust. I feel like this show won't let me down, though, in that way. But I'm really excited about,
I don't think so either.
Do what? Do what?
I said I don't think it'll let us down
I don't
either.
think it will.
But that's all I've really got. I think this was a really strong episode.
Yeah.
I can't wait for episode 3.
Yeah, I'm really excited to find out a little bit more about Captain Luther. I'm a little bit curious about why Sam Lane is really storing kryptonite and why Captain Luther went right straight to
I'll tell you something else that really has me interested is what's going to happen when Jordan goes back to school.
Oh, you know what's going to happen. We're going to have some teen drama. But, that's fine to a certain extent. But overall, guys, let us know what y'all think. We both really enjoyed this episode. Cannot wait until next episode. But let us know what y'all think. Let us know if it's meeting y'all's expectations as it is ours. But as always, guys.
And I hope it is. I mean, I really hope it is.
But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and